last. Father, we just ask you, God, that you would continue to bless us. Thank you for the activities of our limbs. Thank you for giving us the mind, the heart, and the soul to do what you have called us to do. Father, I pray on today, those of us who will be on the line, God, that you will anoint them to give out the information that is needed so that others may be blessed. That we may be able to be better citizens, better fathers, better mothers for our community. We thank you. We give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I got on the line this morning, and I say a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Bishop.
Morning.
Morning, Bishop.
Good morning, my good friends. How y'all doing on today?
Oh,
Good.
we great. We doing great so far. We got some great guests here this morning, and of course, you know, my two amazing co-hosts, and we just ready to get started.
All right, well, it's on you.
All right. Every day we rise is a great day to be alive. Good morning, everyone. The Seven Cities Forums of Hampton Roads presents Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And we're glad you're here with us here on WGPL 1350 AM and on Facebook Live. And we have our host, Leah Drake Stitt.
Good
and
morning, James.
Thomas the Colonel Chapman with us this morning. Good morning, host.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
You know, I feel like a 67-year-old man.
Oh,
I turned that corner. I left Route 66 Saturday and got on to Route 67.
67. Yes, you had a birthday, so happy
Yes,
birthday,
indeed.
my friend.
Birthday.
It's always good to see another birthday,
Yeah.
another year, another day.
Yes.
You know. But anyway, this morning we have some special guests with us. We have Jacque Kendall, and she is a Manor graduate, which is the focus of this show this morning. A part of the Manor High School legacy reclaimed. And we'll tell you about that. If you don't know, you must have been living under a rock. But anyway, we'll tell you about those people that have been living under a rock. We'll tell you what's going on with Manor High School and how they reclaimed their name. And she's also a graduate of Livingstone College, Health and Physical Education, master's degree from Ohio State. Oh, no, the Ohio State. Yeah, I got to say it right. And also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. And Jacque.
Yes.
Good morning, Miss
Good
Jacque.
morning. Good morning, everybody.
Another guest with us, his name is Mr. Brendon Allen, and he's not a Manor graduate, but a Churchton graduate, but he did teach at Manor High. He's now vice principal at Craddock Middle School, graduate of St. Paul's College, in biology and chemistry. Boy, you must have been studying hard. A master's at UVA in administration and supervision. That paid off. Now he's assistant principal at, as I said, Craddock Middle School, and also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Good morning, Mr. Allen.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. And before we get started, we always try to feature a resident from the city of Portsmouth, and Leah's gonna introduce that person to us now.
Okay, and before we introduce that person, Portsmouth Coffee Talk would like to congratulate Reverend and Mrs. Samuel Warren, a Truxton native and IC Norcom graduate. His daughter, Adrienne Warren, won the Tony Award for Best Actress for her fiery performance as the rock star Tina Turner. And people, we say congratulations to Reverend and Mrs. Warren. Congratulations to Adrienne for winning this magnificent award. And she does return to Broadway next month, people. So let's get our tickets and let's get out there and see Adrienne do her thing as Miss Tina Turner. So congratulations, Adrienne Warren. Congratulations, Reverend and Mrs. Warren. An outstanding job by your daughter, Adrienne Warren. And representing Truxton and IC Norcom High School very well. Okay. All right. So now this morning we are highlighting a Manor graduate and none other than Dr. Mark M. Whitaker. He's a proud member of the Manor High School class of 1983. Mark Whitaker became associate with Manor High School long before attending, following in the footsteps of his brother, Philip Whitaker. Mark Whitaker was selected as a member of the Manor High School junior varsity basketball team as an 8th grader at William E. Waters Junior High. Coach Clifton Black, head coach of the Manor High School boys varsity team, saw a lot of potential in Mark Whitaker and selected him as the only freshman on the boys varsity basketball team. By his senior year, Coach Black elevated Whitaker to being the starting point guard, a position he would hold for the next 2 years. As a junior, Mark Whitaker was named the most valuable basketball player in the city of Portsmouth by the local newspaper and Portsmouth High School coaches, and was selected to the first team All Southeastern District basketball team. As a senior, Mark Whitaker was named captain of the basketball team, leading the Manor Mustangs to an undefeated regular season district record. The team went on to defeat the #1 ranked school in the state, Warwick High School, in the Eastern Regional Playoff. Whitaker was named most valuable player in the city of Portsmouth for the 2nd consecutive year. First team All Southeastern District, first team All Tidewater, the most valuable basketball player in Tidewater, first team All Eastern Region, and first team All State. He finished his high school career tied as the all-time leading scorer in the history of Manor High School. His Manor classmates selected him to be the homeroom representative to the Student Government Association his freshman year, and his schoolmates voted for him to be the president of the Student Government Association his senior year. Whitaker further served in leadership positions as captain of the tennis team and the captain of the Manor High School Tidewater Academic Challenge team. Whitaker graduated from Manor High School with honors, ranking 4th in his class. He went on to receive a 4-year basketball scholarship at Virginia Tech. Whitaker went on to Penn State University on a full scholarship and earned a Master Business Administration degree. Whitaker also received his law degree, Doctor of Jurisprudence, from the Ohio State University, Mont's College of Law, where he served as president of the Black Law Students Association for 2 years. Whitaker was instrumental in the College of Law, hiring the first Black dean of the College of Law as he advocated for more Black faculty. He also served on the College of Law Honor Council, president of Alpha Kappa Mu National Honor Society, and treasurer of the Black Graduate and Professional Student Caucus. He now serves as assistant pastor of New Bethel Baptist Church and is a member of the Portsmouth City Council after serving 12 years on the Portsmouth City School Board. He's married to Dr. Ingrid Whitaker, a tenured associate professor of sociology at Old Dominion University and member of the Portsmouth Public School Board. They are the parents of 4 children: James, law school at North Carolina Central University; Naomi, Emory University, completing a master in public health; Nate, sophomore at Morehouse College; and Rachel, an 11th grader at IC Norcom High School. Dr. Mark Whitaker is the youngest son of Bishop James and Otelia McIntyre Whitaker, and is the brother to Philip Etta Whitaker, Pierce, and Dr. Caroline Whitaker. So we want to say congratulations, Dr. Mark Whitaker, as we honor you as a distinguished graduate of Manor High School.
And I'd like to also add Mr. Allen. He is also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay, James.
Okay, Leah or Colonel, if you'd like to start off, please do.
Oh yes, I guess I will start. I'll take that introduction there. Hey, Brendon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you know what? And I'm gonna tell you, it is does my heart warm because one, I am always glad to see people that look like you, Black males in education.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, and so my first question would be, what made you get into education, and then what is the percentage of Black males, say at your institution and across the city of Portsmouth?
Well, I got into education after I actually joined my fraternity. My fraternity had to go to high school, go to college program, and one of my which is called the community service project, was shadowing a teacher at a middle school, Brunswick Middle School, I think it was at James Oliver Russell Middle School, that's what it was. And so after that, that really opened my eyes to education because originally I was on track for a pre-med degree. And so I did take a couple of education courses, and one thing led to another. Once I graduated college, I had the biology degree. I went to go be a bachelor scientist, and I did that for about a year. But it was, I mean, it was okay, but it was not my calling. So I applied to be a teacher, and I actually got hired in Charlotte. And after that, the rest is history. I mean, I've enjoyed it ever since. Inspiring, making an impact on the kids. Um, and as far as the Black male population, as far as education, I think Portsmouth actually does one of the better jobs in the area when it comes to hiring Black men. Again, Black men still are the minority in education, even in Portsmouth. But I think it's a bit higher percentage than what you will find anywhere else. And so I think that's very, very important, especially at the middle school, high school level. My internships, I remember a couple of my principals say that they do still need more Black men at the elementary level. And a lot of times Black men stray away from there because, we want to do other things like coach high school sports or middle school sports. And so it might be hard to attract elementary school teachers that we have from. I believe who's the basketball player from North, the Carlos Anderson, I think he's an elementary school teacher.
Yes, he is.
And so we're doing a very, 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 my line brother, he's a kindergarten teacher over at Parkview. And so we're doing a better job. And like I said, but Black men are still the minority, which make up less than 1% of all educators in America. So definitely need to start pushing more Black men towards education. It is a wonderful field. These kids need us. I say that first and foremost, they need that role model, especially in Portsmouth. They need that role model from elementary to high school.
Mm-hmm.
Great job.
Yes, yes. To follow on with that, and you look at you made the statement of encouraging Black men to get into the education. So when they have these hiring fairs, say at our local university, especially our HBCUs in Norfolk State, that I'm also a graduate of, do you get a chance to go over there and to tell your story?
I actually haven't. I'm just stepping into this role as administrator, and so hopefully that does allow me time to do that, or at least participate in our hiring fairs. I know we've had several virtual hiring fairs since the pandemic began. So it will be an avenue I would definitely be interested in doing once the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, because one, I know the city of Portsmouth, they'll have those hiring fairs, and I think that that's also a way to get your name and face out there and just volunteer to say, hey, next time y'all do the hiring fairs, put me out there because I want to tell my story, because my story is an American story, and it's a story that has to be told. If you want people that look like me to come, put me out there and be the face.
I agree. I totally agree. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, Miss Jacque, you have had quite a career, and just so happy to have you on this morning with Brendon. And I know you taught in Dubai, and you've been on America's Got Talent, and you've done some plays, and you've just been involved totally. You've lived an interesting life, an exciting life.
I'm extra.
Yes, you are extra. But the reason we're here this morning is to discuss Manor High School, the reclaiming of Manor High School.
Yes.
How did you all begin?
That gentleman down there in that box.
Okay, Brendon.
I'll be honest. The spark, of course, was the events that happened with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery during that summer. It did take some reflection because originally, we noticed the field, and then one of my coworkers and I actually was just at the field one day discussing the three schools and what they all meant, and then it just dawned on me like, what happened that would cause the school board to a perfectly normal educated school like excuse me, and change the name because the school closed. you wouldn't see that St. Paul's closed, but you wouldn't see St. Paul's going to Virginia State and telling Virginia State to appease my people who closed the school, let's change Virginia State name to St. Paul's College. That you would have an uproar. You would have an uproar. And so it baffled my mind when that happened. And so I just reached out to a couple of folks. It started, I did my research. I looked back at that school board meeting, and I seen an article that Mr. Nathan McCall had wrote back in like '98, talking about his memories and how he had missed Manor and how it broke his heart to see every time coming back to Portsmouth that his school was no longer here. And so when I read that article, I was like, man, like there's a lost school here in Portsmouth, and it's our own doing. And so I reached out to the Manor folks on the original Manor page, told them who I was. I did explain to them I was not a Manor graduate. I had no ties to Manor, but I am a Portsmouth through and through, born, bred, raised here. And so anything that can make Portsmouth better, I'm all for. And so I wrote a petition. Several people shared it. I met Miss Kendall down there during that time. We organized. He helped me organize the petition, and then a couple of the entire alumni was just once they saw the petition, once they saw how was outpouring of support, they started sharing it, and next thing I know, it blew up into the next best thing. And I got to thank a couple people, like I said, Nathan McCall, he was one of them. There's a whole group of them, and Jacque, you might can remember their names. I cannot remember.
Yeah, the 1973 graduates. We had a couple of meetings, Zoom meetings together.
And then others, Dion Copeland, she's one of them. Her crew, they did an awesome job pushing the petition out. And so it was just, I have to think that Manor, when I say the alumni back from Manor High School, even though their school has been gone for almost 30 years, was still strong, really, really strong.
Very good. And Jacque, how did you become involved in that whole ordeal?
Well, Nathan grew up down the street from me, so I knew Nathan. So when this all came together, Nathan said, kind of go down there, well, be his eyes and ears down this way, because he's in Georgia.
Yeah.
So we started, but it was so funny. This is historical. This never happened. We didn't know what the plan was. I don't think the school board knew what the plan was. So we have a meeting. We watched all the school board meetings, and we think we're going to vote then, and it wasn't. And they said exploratory. So we had to sit down and make a plan. Like, what would happen if this, what would happen? I mean, a strategic plan, because I really didn't understand, or we didn't realize if the Wilson people would come in and do this or what, or how the school board, because one of the things they did was they said exploratory. So what does that mean? That was before the meeting. So yes, we have a meeting. We got two meetings? Was it 2 meetings? 2 meetings. But what happens in between there? So we had to paint Manor as a brand. So therefore, I got an additional Facebook page. I mean, there are many Manor pages out there, but this page had to show the school board and everybody else what Manor was and what Manor could be. So if you look on the page, we don't sell nothing. It's just strictly Manor stuff. So if you want to know what happened in 1975, you push on that button and you can see it. If you want to know what Manor looked like at the beginning. So we did that, and it brought people together, Manor people, and also the school board, because I let everybody join. So therefore we could talk and they could see how passionate we were. So that's where it started.
Did you get any opposition from the Wilson family?
Brendon, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, kind of, sort of, but it wasn't that strong. I think, like Jimmy Pageant, which is a Manor graduate, his whole family, he was the only one that went to Manor. Like he said, they never stepped foot back into this building after it was named. So, you're looking at 28 years of not having the support, that they could have from alumni and alumni association. Yeah. So.
Okay.
And to add, let me just add, and so a lot of the Wilson folk, even those who graduated recently, all pretty much echoed the same thing, that the building was Manor's. And especially those who went to Wilson on Willett Drive, they all, if you I read some of the comments in their Wilson alumni group, they all said the same thing. That's Manor's building. and a lot of them repeat the same thing. So I think the reason why the support for Wilson was so low, so a lot of people realized that that was a wrong that the school board did back in 91, 2.
Yeah.
The reason, Jacque and Brendon, the reason I have so much respect for the Manor alums is because this didn't just start a few years ago. I remember being at a council meeting maybe about 10 years ago. It might even been longer, and a lot of Manor alums were in there making their appeal for, well, I think it was during the time, well, I'm not sure, but they were making their appeal, you know, to save the name at that time, and really didn't get any traction. And I think this time the timing was good because, you know, we were all over the United States. They were recognizing the racist people that buildings were named after. And I think that thing at Princeton or Yale, when they took the Woodrow Wilson name off one of their buildings, it sort of made it, I don't want to say, well, I'll say easier for the Manor alums to make their case, you know, about reclaiming their name, you know, and a lot of people were ready to take down these names anyway. So how long have you really been involved? Because I know, and Manor kept that spirit because they were having reunions every year since that, you know, continued to have reunions as Manor, you know, so that spirit really never died. It was just about timing, you know, when it happened.
And,
No,
timing is so important in everything that you do. And it was the right time. It was the right time for it to happen.
Yeah. And I didn't want to get complacent about it and just assume that it was going to be Manor. Now, I knew that they would take the Wilson name down. However, there were other names that was thrown into the pot, and we had to. So therefore, it was very, very important to paint a positive picture. It had to be. It was like selling a brand, like anything else I've done in advertisement is to bring everybody in.
That's
so
right.
The pictures, the historical pictures, the accomplishments of Manor alumni, you had to bring all of that to the table so that the powers, which is the school board, would see that. You know, we didn't have a slam dunk on it, but you know, like I said, I didn't ever get complacent, but we came up with a plan. I mean, it was just like, if they do this, we're gonna do that. If this happens, we're gonna do this. I mean, to the point that, you know, I wasn't sure how I was gonna do. I bum rushed the governor, you know, because
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not sure if they're gonna tell our story, so I'm gonna talk to the governor. So I found the governor and I told him, you know, I want to talk to him. They said, well, he can't talk. I said, we can do it the easy way or the hard way. They said, well, what's the easy way? Let me talk. The hard way, I'm gonna wait until he come out and then I'm gonna talk to him. And that's what we did.
Well, Jacque, they were talking about there wasn't much opposition. I remember watching the hearings and didn't have a lot of people. More people from Manor spoke up for Manor, and not many people for Wilson. But they were people, you know, in opposition. They were talking about the cost of switching all that back over. How and some people accelerated or elevated it to a point where it wasn't really the case. But how much the Manor alums or supporters get involved with helping to change everything over? Because the cost, you know, you had to change all the uniforms, the colors of the schools and things like that. Or was that all taken care of through funds that were provided?
You know, everything's on a rotation. And a lot of the things that were supposed to happen to the Wilson was coming up. So a lot of those costs that they put out there, and Brendon, I mean, you might can concur with that, is that they were already in rotation, like some of the uniforms. I was a coach. So, you know, in 2 years, we're going to get uniforms.
Right.
So some of that was already there. And some of them, they're going to push it forward. So the 2 years back, you know, they won't get it. So, you know, they kind of inflated it, I would say, because like painting the building was coming up.
And I'll say, having a city council that supports education is critical. If you had told me, if you brought this up, the school board said, yeah, we're gonna vote for it, but you had the city council of years past really cut education funding, it probably wouldn't get happen as fast. But because our school board understood that we needed to make the name change, and then our city council supports our education, and they supported us making the name change, they ensured that we did not lose any funding or reduce our costs by anything to keep it fully funded. And so that factored into it. And so that was important. When your city council and school board can work together, that feels greatness for Portsmouth.
Brendon, you brought up something really crucial too. We are at a time when the city council is working with the school board. I think that once again we said about timing. I think that if it had been a few years back, when there was opposition between the two, you probably would not have been able to have gotten as far as you've gotten with the renaming of the school. So that is a crucial point there. That relationship between the city council and the school board. So. Once again, timing is very important. James?
And Brendon, you know, with the present, you were there at the time with the present students, and a lot of them not really knowing the history or the legacy that most of the Manor alums know. And, you know, and being a Norcom alum, and people don't really understand how that works inside of us that graduate from Norcom and Manor during those days, because there were some times where, well, one thing, the rivalry was amazing. It's good to see that back. But it's something about, you know, Norcom always say deep down in our hearts, and I'm sure the Manor alums felt the same way. But Brendon, how was the climate among the present students as far that, like I said, some of them didn't even know the history, but when the word started getting out, I mean, did you see some opposition among them? You know, I don't want to change my, you know, I guess they feel a little different about their school than we did back then, but did you see support from them?
I'll say when I talked to some of my student athletes and some of the other students, and they would bring up, well, wasn't Woodrow Wilson a racist? And so they would automatically understand, hey, it's named after somebody who shouldn't have a name on the school building. So for the most part, I'm not gonna say 100% sure, but for the most part, most of the students, I believe, took a more nonchalant approach. It is what it is. Because, and I'll be honest, school spirit it dwindled so much. It is almost like we move into a different school, and I would say, speaking to some of the people who go there now, they like the new colors, they like the new uniforms, the new look. And going forward, it's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be up to the Manor alumni to make sure they bridge that gap.
That's true.
And teach them the history, teach them the school songs, show them what school spirit looks like. And that's going to be an ask of the Manor alumni. They wanted the school back, they got the school back, but now there's still more work to do.
Yes.
Because you have to rebuild your alumni. This is your future alumni walking the halls now. And they need to see that you support them, so they'll know when they graduate what they do to support the next class after them.
Yeah. And that, like you said, that's really important to get everyone involved. You know, we have thousands of graduates out there, alumni, and everybody wants to have a voice. So you're going to have to find a way to allow everyone to be able to speak, you know, and be able to vote and all that sort. So it's a rebuilding. You know, we reached out before, you know, Norcom was very instrumental in that, because Norcom came up with that hashtag Greyhounds 4, the letter 4 Mustangs, which was great because they got a lot of the information out. But if we could take a page from your playbook on how to build it, it would be great. Because like I said, the other day, I think y'all had a Zoom and it was like 300 or 400 people, everybody on the Zoom, you know, everybody's being able to talk and speak. And that's going to be very important, because ownership is important. You know, if you have some ownership on anything, you'll be, you know, involved in it. And that's what happened with this whole campaign, is ownership. You know, we had Hodges Manor people, we had Manor people, you know, and Hodges Manor people, God, you know, we're all excited, just like the Manor people. I mean, I had researchers to research all of the school board meetings. So we knew who came to those school board meetings and what to do. So it's all in a plan. You know, you can't go out there freelancing and free willy, because, you know, you got professional people that know the game, you know, and wanted us to work as a professional body in order to get this done. So.
Well, are the students?
Before we go on, we're approaching 7 o'clock, and I'd just like to we'll be leaving the radio, but we'll continue for a little while longer on Facebook Live. And we'd like to thank all the listeners from WGPL 1350 AM for joining us this morning. And please join us next week next Monday as we continue with Portsmouth Coffee Talk. So Leah or the Colonel, you all can continue.
I had one quick question. Are the students, I heard some of the students state that they wanted to get their Wilson diploma because they've been at Wilson for 4 years. Are the students going to be given an option, do you know, as to whether they will have a Manor diploma or a Wilson diploma?
That was agreed upon when they changed the name that students of this class, this school year, and I cannot don't quote me on this. I don't know about the students for next school year, but I do know these. So the seniors this year, they will have the option of choosing Wilson or Manor diploma.
Okay, thank you. Colonel, I saw you.
Of course, that's been done before. That's been done before when they moved a lot of students out to Northam.
Yes.
And they had to go to other schools. They were allowed to receive a Northam degree. So it shouldn't be any problem, hopefully.
Yes.
Come.
Yeah, I just got to put this plug in. So for those folks that are out there in electron lands, if you want to keep hearing this kind of information that you will not get anywhere in this region of the country, you can send a donation to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, P.O. Box 7664, Portsmouth, Virginia 23707. And reason I say that, and if you listen to us and you try to dissect what we've been saying with our two guests, this is a perfect example of civic engagement that is having positive results. And I think Leah had the, or either it might have been Brendon said the right word, said vote.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we didn't have a city council that was more positive and open-minded and was one of the city councils before this present city council, this issue would not have seen the light of day, because we all know that the institutional racism that has infected our city council in the previous city council members would not have come to light. This issue would not have come to light of day. So now, fast forward, we have an election coming up, and anywhere from the state office, from the governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general, all the way down to down ballots, and the progress that we have made over the last couple of years can be reversed. So, so I implore everybody, get out there, well, be informed, but get out there and cast that vote, because there are folks out there want you to be complacent and not go to the polls. And it can be turned around so fast. And so that's my commentary for that.
Thank you, Colonel. Appreciate we can always rely on you to bring in the political or perspective, because all politics is local.
Exactly.
And you're right. The political climate had to be for all this to come together. But Leah or
now what plans do they have to well, I guess it'd be the Manor alumni. What plans do they have to educate the children? I know right now for the Northam alumni, it's really hard trying to engage these young people in understanding and appreciating the history of the school and those individuals who went through the school and made achievements. What plans do they have in place to engage the young people, to get them excited about being a Manor Mustang? Do you know?
Anyway, I teach ninth graders. So that's another thing. I'm back at the school. So it's been full circle. So I started as a student and now I'm back as a teacher. So I do ninth graders. So one of the first things I did was to make sure they knew something about it. Found out they got grandchildren or great grands of a lot of Manor alumni. I have a little video that I showed during the campaign about the renaming and the reclaiming of the legacy. And so they saw how was. So every now and then we go through a little bit of exchange about the, not just necessarily the colors, but what Manor stood for, when it was here and all of that. So I've kind of done it on my own, just trying to do a lesson because I can engage at least 100 kids because I have 30-something kids in each one of my classes, but I was hoping that it would be taken beyond that, within the school. So I am waiting for them to have some sort of forum, maybe.
Right, right.
And can I just add, I think Jacque, she doing one of the things she's doing is great. She came back and talked. Like she put her money where her mouth was, and she came out there. She said, "I'm going to teach these kids." So that's great. The other thing is, if the Manor alumni are listening, you can always join the Manor High School PTA. You don't have to have a student to attend Manor High School. That's one way you can step your foot inside the door and start helping some of these kids out, because they just need to see you and see the support. You start there, and then you show them, hey, this is what Manor support is about, and bring them in. You can have an event once you're in the PTA. It's easier to just do the event. You pay $6 to join the Manor PTA. You attend the meetings, and y'all plan out events. So that's just one easy way that you can do it. Just join the PTA.
And other than Dr. Mark Whitaker, you have, as you stated, Nathan McCall, Makes Me Wanna Holler, graduate. You have Reverend Joseph Fleming from Third Baptist Church, who's a Manor.
Pastor Joseph Fleming, because he was one of my biggest cheerleaders. Pastor Fleming was one of my biggest cheerleaders. He kept me every step of the way.
That is wonderful. I know I was blessed to go to the renaming ceremony, and I saw him there at the renaming ceremony, as well as Dr. Mark Whitaker. And also talk about some of the other folks who've graduated from Manor High School.
Anita Cooper. Anita Cooper is the leading women's basketball. She went to Hampton University. She is in the Hall of Fame of the CIAA, Latasha Colander, we already talked about her. Yeah. My little baby, she started off at Norcom. She did her 2 years at Manor, and then she ended up graduating from Wilson. So we got people that are there.
Don't forget the Misdemeanor Elliott.
Oh, I want
and Misty did a video for you all.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to not talk about Misty. It's funny. I substituted when she was here. My niece was the last graduating class, so my sister was in the first graduating class, and then she was. But in between that, we got so many people that are businessmen, men and women. So many educators. We got physicians, and stuff. So these are people that are, quote, you don't hear a lot about, but they're out there in the field. I look at them all the time. When we were doing the campaign, one of the goals was to make sure that every morning that the school board had at least 50 to 25 to 50 letters every morning. And so I had people in Luxembourg, Verne Hatcher, and people that were overseas that would work all night, so that when we woke up, it was done. So it was an effort. It was fun because it reconnected a lot of us who hadn't seen each other in so long, but everybody was all for the effort.
Mm-hmm.
But Dr. Mark Whitaker just wrote that he would like to thank you, Jacque and Brendon, for your courageousness in getting this job done, courageous and conscious leadership and bringing the Manor High School name back. And that's from Dr. Mark this morning.
Well, thank you.
He's listening. Dr. Mark is listening this morning.
I remember Mark. He's a little old boy at New Bethel. So I went to New Bethel. So
I like to say I appreciate Brendon bringing up the fact that you can join the Manor alumni, but also the PTA, whether you have students there. And I think it's even more important now as we try to deal with the rising crime rate. And I think students will appreciate if they see the backing of us. We can't sit back and say city council or anybody else or leadership say, y'all need to solve this, when we can step up and do something as well. So that's one of the steps we can do. Join the PTA, whether you have students there or not, because the students are really our investment in the city and important to our future. So I'm glad he brought that up, and we need to really do that. And all this is a part of what we have to do to save our children to save our students out there,
Mhm.
because some of them are getting lost out there. So I just had to make that point. And let's get back to the rivalry. Now, it's the rivalry goes way back. And I remember Manor opened the year that I graduated in 72, because I remember going over there and just walking through the brand new school. And one of the main things I noticed, walk down the hall and they had no walls. I mean, I think
Yes.
they could. I said, how can kids pay attention when you walk down there? You can see, everybody can see everything that's going on in the hall. But that was just strange to me. But anyway, that rivalry started then in 72, although there were plenty of rivalries already between Norcom, Wilson, Craddock, and Churchland. But it was something special about that Norcom Manor rivalry that went on, because a lot of the students knew each other. Some of them lived in the same neighborhoods.
In the
But went
same
to-
house.
Same house, yeah. And went to different. And so Jacque, talk about that rivalry when you were there and how important it was. Well, how much fun. Let's talk about fun, because
It is fun. It was fun.
I walk through high schools now, and sometimes the kids don't seem to be having fun, which is one of the most periods of your life where you should be enjoying life. How
Exactly.
was it back then? Just being a student and knowing you all are playing your biggest rival.
Well, the opportunity, we all had the opportunity to choose. So I choose Manor because I said it's a new school or whatever. And so my friends across the street chose Norcom. But the rivalry was wonderful because these are the same people I played street ball with, in the streets. I mean, stick ball and football and roller derby and stuff. So to compete against them was wonderful, So we talked trash. At school or at the games, but we came home, we were friends. And that always happened. And I when I say in the same household, there were people that had two Norcom people and one Manor person, and they said they just shot at each other on the way to school, but when they came back home, it was family. So it was fun. It was fun. The band thing was great because Manor was new. Norcom had been established. We had Mr. Fears, who came from Norcom.
We loaned you, Mr. Fears.
Whatever.
Norcom loaned you, Mr. Fears. Mr. Fears was ours first.
Okay, all right, okay.
Mr. Fears gave us the Norcom Rock, okay? Which
Yes.
we still play up to today.
Yes, and that is wonderful. However, when we came over, we had nothing. So the spirit we had at Manor was that the students built a lot of this. They let us make a lot of decisions. So we had no uniforms. We had jeans, t-shirts, and bucket hats. They hadn't even
I remember
ordered
that.
uniforms.
I remember.
So when it came back time, when the uniforms came in and we were cool with the handkerchiefs hanging out, guess what? We didn't want them uniforms anymore. It was like, we made a statement. So he built us up to well over 100 bandmen. And, and that starts in the early middle schools and in elementary schools, the music programs.
That's true.
So I look forward 6th grade to graduate from the xylophone to play the straight up drums, in junior high school. So that's how that went.
Some people out there will ask, why does this matter? Why does this matter? And that exchange that we just had between Leah
the rivalry is still there.
tells you exactly why does this matter. Because after all this time, they're ready to go out at each other and they banter. But the other thing too is, I think somebody had mentioned the word history and the apathy of our young folks. They have to know the history.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to be the next set of folks that are going to defend or to try to change how things were, that we make it how things will be. Because one, we all know the history of Woodrow Wilson and all the racism, and we just got through living 4 years with a racist president. And some of the, when we talk about racism in education, there's a debate on there's a false debate on critical race theory.
Yes.
And I say that's a false thing to divide us. And I guess this would be to Brendon, and this might be charged. There is a principal down in Texas that when George Floyd was killed, he wrote a simple letter to his parents saying, this is what happened. We support Black Lives Matter, da 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 da. And his contract was not renewed by the school board. And so it goes back to say voting and being aware counts, because those folks on the school board don't need to be there because they perpetrate the institutional racism that is grown and blown up in the state of Texas and across and in affected this country. And so, Brendon, you think you can address that?
Well, I'm gonna say the first thing, and it's gonna be easy, and it may just be words, but I want to say I always tell people go where you're celebrated, not tolerated.
Yes.
Amen. I love that. Say that one more
Yes.
time, Brendon. Say that
Go-
one more time.
Go where you're celebrated and not tolerated.
Amen.
Because he was the first Black principal in that district of about 10% of Black people.
Yes.
And so you would never, and knock on wood, but I got confidence in my city. You would never see that in a city like Portsmouth. One, we're not going to play these politic games when it comes to race. We understand racism is an issue. We understand that saying racism is bad and identifying that the institutions that make racism, we understand that those exist. And so we're not going to tell a teacher or the administrator, hey, we're going to cover our eyes to racism, because we're not. We want to be as diverse as possible. And so we're going to speak up about it. And so some of these districts that are not diverse, when they hear about critical race theory, that's like a warning flag. And not knowing that critical race theory has not been taught in any grade
Never.
at all. But because it has this connotation because of what the other side have done to it, they have created this fear mongering amongst educators. And there are districts who are putting out these laws that don't need to be made, because when has it existed? When has teaching critical race theory existed? But this idea that history should be a whitewashed version, only say the good things that happened in America, and think that slavery or racism was just a small section in our history is false. And we saw that with the George Floyd and the Ahmaud Arbery summer of our own racial reckoning, but we still got a long way to go. Especially when we got districts making rules like that or firing principals because they say racism is bad. That's a problem, because if you want to fire a principal for saying racism is bad, you're essentially saying you're okay with racism.
Exactly.
Yes. And then we have to call them out. And the members of the school board by name, and let them be on the national news, and we have to call them out. The press has to call them out and says, such and such on this school board, just not the school board, and don't let them hide behind their titles. And they have to be called out by the national press that they are perpetrating and actually highlighting and actually saying racism, like you say, racism is okay. And I don't need my public money going to those school boards.
And I must say that we're going to start winding down, because we have two educators here that's going to have to get on the good foot in a little while. So, but I want to say too, put a challenge out there to the students and pass this on to the students. Don't only compete on the basketball court or in the football field. Compete academically.
Exactly.
Carry that same rivalry into the debate team, into the STEM robotics team, because the more you challenge each other, the better everybody will be. So let's make sure it goes beyond those football fields and basketball courts and baseball fields and everything like that, because everybody can show their pride in their school in whatever they're doing. So as we wind down, we're going to give everybody a chance to have some closing statements, because like I said, I know the teachers have to go teach. And so I guess we'll start with, Brendon?
Well, let me just say thank you for having me on. Thank you to the Manor alumni folks again. Can't thank you guys enough. You guys, I was only the spark. You guys were the gasoline to keep it going. And so And I'm not going to start naming names because I'm going to forget somebody. So, but the entire Manor alumni, your support, the fact that you're still strong after all these years of being without a school, just shows that you guys have a level of commitment that is unmatched. Sorry, Malcolm alumni. But you guys have done an awesome job. Please just make sure that it doesn't have to stop here. Please make sure that your work continues on and on into the next generation, whether it be 4, 5, 6 generations down the line. Because eventually, what we want to see is Portsmouth, the Churchill alumni, Norfolk alumni, Manor alumni, all thriving like no other. We joke about it, but we call Norfolk and now Manor, we call them little HBCUs.
That's right.
There's so much of the HBCU spirit, and so we want you guys to keep that up because don't think that because the name changed that things got better. It's still the same. We still got some work to do. So thank you to the Manor alumni for allowing me to at least reach out to you guys and being receptive to what I had to offer. And I hope that you guys.
Okay, Jacque.
You know, this is full circle for me. I came out of retirement. And like I said, put up or shut up. I challenged the fact that I wanted to come back and I wanted to teach. And I wanted to leave a legacy for myself. But I say thank you to everybody that wrote a letter, everybody who has ever put a thing in the chat, encourage both of us, because during that time, walking into the unknown is really, really different. You have no idea. And some of you all I'm there, will help you, writing letters, researching. Like I said, I don't want to name a whole bunch of names of people I can't remember. But like I said, the Norcom alumni, all of our alumni, everybody just stepped up their game. Like I said, a little old guy from Churchland, a Churchland trucker. Mm-hmm. I embrace him. I embrace him. I embrace him. I embrace him. It's funny how you're put together. And like I said, I've known him, but I didn't know him. But for us to be able to come together, I call him Batman. That's my Batman. See, I like being Robin. See, I like Robin got a license to do stuff that Batman wouldn't do. And I always told him, if I ever did anything, tell me to pump my brakes. Pump my brakes, let me know. But that man let me go full throttle. And I appreciate that, because there was a lot of going on in my life during that time, a lot of grief that I was dealing with, and I put that into action. And sometimes we have to pull from things, maybe positive or negative, to make something positive happen. And like I said, if I forgot anybody or whatever, trust me, blame it on the head and not the heart, because my heart has always been into this. And like I said, this has been a year-long journey, a 28-year journey for most of us. But I am so glad to come back here and wear that red, black, and white. Sorry, thanks.
Co-host.
Well, I want to say thank you, Jacque. I've known her all of her life. Thank you, Brendon. Thank you for all that you're doing for our students. And thank you for getting this spark going. It's a great thing. And it was a great lesson in civic involvement for the children. Yes. How to get involved, how to make things happen. You don't have to go down hollering and screaming and calling folks names and being disrespectful. You taught the correct way of engaging in civic activity and how to get things done within a community. So I want to congratulate each of you for your involvement. I'd like to congratulate the City Council and the school board for working together, which is most important, in order to make this come to fruition. So I'm going to say congratulations to the Manor Mustangs, from the IC Norcom Alumni Association, from the mighty Greyhounds. And we look forward to that rivalry beginning, but yet we look forward to the love between the two schools continuing. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Oh, there's a bell. So
you timed that perfectly.
Yes. I'd like to thank my two cohorts and also our two guests for coming on early this morning. And it has been great, as Leah says, it's been a great example of civic engagement, to get something done the right way. And I also will say, follow with the students that are out there, is that for every athlete that makes it out here, that makes it on the national scene. There'll be 1,000 folks that are out there will have a great life as a teacher, as our two guests are there, or they could be a doctor, lawyer, whatever in their profession. So academics will take you further and increase your chances to reach up into the sky and touch the sky. And so I just want to put that out there. But the last piece, I just can't let it go, is that we also have to get out and vote, because that's our only way of having power. Because the vote put a new city council in that let this action happen. We on the state level, we have a governor's race. The governor on the Republican side will turn back everything, wants to turn us back to the 60s, even though his commercials are kinder and gentler. So get your parents out there, or if you're over 18, make sure that you get out and vote, because they want you to stay home. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Jackie. Go ahead and do your thing. And if Mark Whitaker, you still watching, we'll see you during the basketball season. You know, y'all got by on this football game, but we'll see you at the Kellogg Gym, at the Kellogg Gym at IC Northam this season. All right, Mark, take care.
He's still watching. He's still on board.
Whatever. Mustangs for life. Mustangs for life.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all so.
Look at her going that chair. In that gym.
Hey,
Okay.
ho, ho. Okay. Y'all be good,
watching.
Jackie. Thank you
Well,
so
thank you.
very much.
We want to thank
Thanks.
everybody for watching Portsmouth Coffee Talk this morning. And please remember to join us next week. And this will be on a YouTube channel later on. And if you watch it on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and comment and like as well. But more importantly, subscribe so we can build up that subscription numbers. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, co-hosts. Appreciate you.
Thank you.